I thought retirement would mean freedom. But watching my son-in-law Brad drive away with my brand new Airstream trailer while my daughter Sarah counted days until they could put me in Sunset Gardens. Retirement home taught me otherwise. 24 hours earlier, I'd signed the papers for that 30-foot beauty planning to visit every national park before my knees gave out completely. Now Brad was stealing it for his family vacation, leaving me with nothing but a text message to send, and 43 years of engineering knowledge they'd forgotten about. The morning I walked out of Lockheed Martin for the last time, carrying my coffee mug and a box of personal items, felt like stepping into sunlight after decades underground. 43 years of designing guidance systems for aerospace projects had earned me a comfortable pension, and more importantly, it had given me the discipline to save for this exact moment. Martha and I had dreamed about traveling the country in an RV, marking off national parks, like squares on a bingo card. Cancer took her 2 years ago, but I wasn't about to let her dream die with her. Gary at Mountain View RV understood immediately when I walked onto his lot that Thursday morning. You can tell when someone's serious about buying versus just browsing. I headed straight for the Airstream section, drawn to a classic 30-foot model that gleamed like a silver bullet under the Colorado sun. "She's a beauty," Gary said, approaching with the measured steps of a salesman who knew when to talk and when to let the product sell itself. 2024 model solar panels already installed, residential-sized refrigerator king bed in the back. I ran my hand along the aluminum shell, feeling the rivets beneath my fingertips. Inside the trailer smelled like fresh wood and possibility. The kitchen had more counter space than most apartments, and the bathroom included a shower I could actually turn around in without banging my elbows. This wasn't just a trailer, it was freedom on wheels. $98,000, Gary said when I asked the price. He waited for the typical haggling dance, but I surprised him. "I'll take it, cash." His eyebrows climbed toward his receding hairline. "Well, we'll need to do some paperwork, run some checks. No financing needed." I clarified, pulling out my checkbook. Martha and I saved specifically for this. Took 30 years, but we did it. Back home that afternoon, I spread maps across the kitchen table like battle plans. Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, Acadia, up in Maine. 63 national parks total, and I intended to visit every single one. My laptop showed reservation sites and route planners. I'd already installed a GPS tracking system in the trailer, along with satellite communication equipment. My engineering background meant I understood the value of redundancy and safety systems. I called Sarah to share the news, cradling the phone between my shoulder and ear while I plotted routes. "Hey, sweetheart, guess what your old man just did?" "Hi, Dad," she said, sounding distracted. I could hear Brad talking in the background, and what sounded like dishes clattering. "What's going on?" "I bought an Airstream, that silver beauty Mom and I always talked about. I'm planning to hit the road next week, start with Rocky Mountain National Park since it's close." Silence stretched between us before she responded. "Dad, don't you think... at your age, is that really wise?" "I'm 68, not 88. I laughed, though something in her tone made my stomach tighten. "Doc says I'm healthy as a horse. Blood pressure's controlled, knees are creaky but functional. It's just..." She paused, and I heard Brad saying something I couldn't make out. "We worry about you, Dad. Living alone in that big house and now buying expensive toys." "It's not a toy, Sarah. It's something your mother and I dreamed about for decades." I know. Listen, there's actually something I wanted to talk to you about. Sunset Gardens has an opening. It's a really nice retirement community, Dad. They have activities, medical staff on site, a dining room so you don't have to cook." I stared at the map of Utah spread before me, red pins marking places Martha had circled in our old atlas. "I appreciate your concern, but I'm not ready for a retirement home. I've got too much living left to do." After we hung up, I noticed my filing cabinet's lock looked scratched. Opening it, I thumbed through folders until I reached the one marked Legal Documents. My will was missing. The copy I kept here for reference, gone. A chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning crept up my spine. I walked to the garage where I kept a spare house key hidden inside an old paint can on the shelf. The can was there, but the key wasn't. Someone had been in my house. Someone who knew where I hid things. That evening, I drove to Best Buy and purchased a doorbell camera system. The young employee who helped me probably thought I was paranoid, some old guy worried about package thieves. I didn't tell him I was more concerned about family than strangers. I installed it myself, syncing it to my phone, testing the motion sensors and two-way audio. The irony wasn't lost on me 43 years designing defense systems, and now I was defending against my own daughter. Friday morning arrived with the kind of crisp mountain air that made Colorado famous. I woke at 6, energized by anticipation. Today was the day. I'd loaded the Airstream with supplies the night before. Canned goods, fresh water, bedding my hiking boots, and Martha's favorite quilt. Rocky Mountain National Park was only 2 hours away, but it represented the beginning of something bigger. I was connecting the trailer to my truck's hitch when I heard the unmistakable purr of Brad's BMW X7 turning onto my street. It was 7 in the morning. Brad never left his house before 9 unless there was money involved. My hands slowed on the safety chains as Sarah's Honda Pilot pulled in behind him. They emerged like a coordinated assault team. Brad stepped out first wearing his usual uniform of khakis and a polo shirt with his real estate company's logo. Sarah followed, clutching a folder and wearing the worried expression she'd perfected since her teenage years. Madison and Tyler tumbled out of the BMW's back seat, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. "Morning, Connor." Brad said, using my first name like we were old friends instead of barely tolerant relatives. "Nice trailer. Must have set you back a pretty penny." Brad. Sarah. I straightened up, noting how Brad positioned himself between me and the truck. "What brings you by so early?" Sarah stepped forward, her folder held like a shield. "Dad, we need to talk. We're concerned about you." Kuiform. Concerned. I glanced at my grandchildren. Madison, 16, and sharp as her grandmother, was studying her shoes. Tyler, 14, kept looking at the trailer with obvious envy. "This purchase, Dad," Sarah continued, "spending nearly $100,000 on a whim, it's not like you." "It wasn't a whim. Your mother and I planned this for 30 years. Brad crossed his arms, biceps straining against his polo. He worked out religiously part of his image as a successful developer. "Connor, let's be honest here. You're pushing 70, living alone, making impulsive purchases. Sarah found your bills stacked up unopened." "That was a lie. I paid everything online had for years." "What bills?" "The ones on your kitchen counter," Sarah said quickly. Too quickly. I pulled out my phone and opened the doorbell camera app. Sure enough, there was my neighbor Mrs. Chen standing on my porch yesterday afternoon with what looked like a plate of her famous dim sum. Sarah was at the door, shaking her head, gesturing. I couldn't hear the audio, but Mrs. Chen's confused expression said enough. Sarah was turning away, my visitors controlling the narrative. "We think it's best if you consider Sunset Gardens," Brad announced, cutting straight to the chase. "It's a premier retirement community. They have an opening, and we've already put down a deposit to hold your spot." "You put down a deposit with whose money?" Brad's smile reminded me of a shark circling wounded prey. "Sarah's on your accounts, remember? We were just trying to help make sure you don't lose the opportunity." I looked at my daughter, searching for the little girl who used to help me build model rockets in the backyard. "Sarah, what's this really about?" Before she could answer, Brad stepped closer. "What it's about is your safety, Connor. You could hurt yourself with this thing. What if you have a medical emergency on the road? What if you get confused?" "Confused about what?" "Look, we're taking the trailer," Brad declared. "We already promised the kids a trip to Yellowstone. We leave tomorrow. By the time we get back, you'll be settled into Sunset Gardens where you belong. Tyler's head snapped up. We're taking Grandpa's trailer. It's for the best, honey, Sarah said, not meeting her son's eyes. Dad, that's stealing, Madison said quietly. Brad's face darkened. Madison, the adults are talking. I reached for my truck keys, but Brad was faster. He snatched them from my hand with the reflexes of someone 20 years younger. Sorry, Connor. Can't let you hurt yourself. Give me my keys, Brad. Or what you'll call the police. Tell them your daughter and son-in-law are concerned about your welfare. He jingled the keys like a treat for a dog. We've already spoken to Judge Harrison about your diminished capacity. He agrees that family intervention is appropriate. Sarah handed me the folder she'd been clutching. Inside were brochures for Sunset Gardens admission forms and a power of attorney document. My blood chilled when I saw the admission form was already partially filled out, dated 2 weeks ago, before I'd even bought the trailer. This was planned. I said, understanding flooding through me like ice water. Sarah couldn't meet my eyes. It's for your own good, Dad. I watched Brad climb into my truck, start the engine, and begin backing the Airstream out of my driveway. 3 years of saving decades of dreams rolling away behind a BMW, driven by a man who probably couldn't identify which end of a wrench to hold. We'll be back Sunday evening, Sarah said, pressing the Sunset Gardens paperwork into my hands. The movers will come Monday morning to pack your things. Just the essentials. The house will sell better staged with your furniture. You're selling my house? Dad, you don't need 4 bedrooms. The equity will pay for years at Sunset Gardens, plus leave something for... She trailed off. For you? Brad honked the horn, impatient. Sarah hurried to her Honda, pausing at the door. I'm sorry, Dad, but someday you'll understand we did this because we love you. As they drove away, my trailer disappearing around the corner, I stood in my driveway holding retirement home brochures and fighting the urge to chase after them. Madison had looked back through the rear window, her face a mixture of shame and anger. At least someone in that family still had a conscience. I walked slowly back to my house, shoulders bent like I was carrying the weight of every one of my 68 years. Let the neighbors see a defeated old man. Let them gossip about poor Connor, whose family had to take his keys away for his own good. Inside, I locked the door and went straight to my laptop. The GPS tracker showed my trailer heading west on Interstate 70. The satellite communication system was active, though they didn't know it existed. Every word spoken in that trailer would be recorded. I picked up my phone and scrolled through contacts until I found the one I needed. Jennifer Walsh had handled Martha's estate and knew our family situation well. Jennifer, it's Connor Richardson. I need your help. My son-in-law just stole my $100,000 trailer and they're trying to put me in a home against my will. Her voice sharpened like a blade. Tell me everything. I spent the rest of Friday morning on my front porch wearing my rattiest bathrobe and staring vacantly at the street. When Mr. Peterson walked by with his golden retriever, I gave him a confused wave with my left hand instead of my right. When the mailman delivered packages, I asked him what day it was twice. By noon, I was confident the neighborhood telegraph would spread the news poor Connor Richardson was losing his marbles just like his family said. Inside, I was building my war room. Jennifer Walsh arrived at 1 o'clock, entering through the back door to avoid the watchful eyes of concerned neighbors. She carried a briefcase and the kind of righteous anger that made her one of Denver's best elder law attorneys. Show me everything, she said, setting up at my dining room table. I pulled up the GPS tracking on my laptop. The trailer was making good time already past Vail. The audio from the satellite system was crystal clear. Brad was bragging to someone on his Bluetooth about his sweet score and how his senile father-in-law won't even know it's gone. Jennifer's face darkened with each detail I shared. The missing will the predated retirement home forms the unauthorized deposit from my account. She took notes in precise handwriting, occasionally asking for clarification. This is textbook elder abuse, she said. Financial exploitation theft, attempted false imprisonment. How much do they think you have? Sarah's on my main bank account as co-signer from when Martha was sick. There's about $40,000 in there. She doesn't know about the investment accounts or the separate savings. Good. First thing, we're freezing that compromised account and opening new ones. I know the branch manager at First National. He can expedite everything. While Jennifer made calls, I contacted Marcus Stone, a private investigator recommended by a former colleague. Marcus had worked corporate espionage cases for aerospace companies before going independent. He understood the value of thorough documentation. I need everything on Brad Mitchell. I told him. Financial records, business dealings, the works. Rush job. They're planning to have me in a retirement home by Monday. Then I'd better get started. Email me what you have. By evening, my dining room looked like a command center. Bank statements, legal documents, and laptop screens created a paper fortress. The doorbell camera alerted me to movement Sarah checking if I was home. I ignored it, letting her think I was too depressed to answer. Jennifer had worked miracles. The compromised bank account was frozen pending investigation. New accounts were opened in my name only at a different bank. She'd also filed emergency paperwork to prevent any property transfers or power of attorney changes without court supervision. Marcus called with his initial findings. Your son-in-law is drowning. $2.3 million in debt from a failed development in Aurora. He's been shuffling money between projects, robbing Peter to pay Paul. His business credit is maxed out. That explains the urgency about my house. There's more. He's been telling investors he has a major property acquisition lined up. A 4-bedroom in Denver with no mortgage. Sound familiar? My house. Brad was already spending money he expected to steal from me. Saturday morning, I maintained my confused elderly act while monitoring the tracker. They'd stopped for the night in Grand Junction. The satellite audio picked up an interesting conversation at breakfast. I still think this is wrong. Madison's voice came through clearly. You don't understand business, sweetheart, Brad replied. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions for the greater good. Whose greater good, Grandpa's or yours? Watch your tone, young lady. I smiled grimly. Martha's spirit lived on in our granddaughter. Marcus arrived Saturday afternoon with a thick folder. Brad's been busy. 3 lawsuits from previous investors, all settled quietly. He's got a meeting scheduled Monday with Richard Dalton, some bigwig investor who loves RV camping. This Yellowstone trip? It's not a vacation. He's trying to impress Dalton with his luxury trailer. Richard Dalton. The name sparked a memory. I scrolled through my contacts and found him. Dick Dalton from Boeing worked on the same defense contracts in the 90s. We'd stayed in touch through Christmas cards and the occasional golf game. I called him immediately. Dick Connor Richardson, I hear you're meeting with my son-in-law Monday. Connor? How the hell are you? Yeah, Brad Mitchell. Says he's got some revolutionary development opportunity. To be honest, something seemed off about him. Let me tell you what's really going on. 20 minutes later, Dick was laughing so hard he could barely speak. You want me to string him along? Make him think he's getting the investment? If you're willing. But there's more. I want you to serve him papers. Papers? Remember the Riverside development disaster in Aurora? You were one of the investors he defrauded. Son of a bitch. I knew that name was familiar. My lawyers have been trying to track him down for 2 years. He'll be at the Yellowstone Lodge Monday at 2 o'clock, with my stolen trailer. Connor, you magnificent bastard. This is better than Boeing's retirement party. By Saturday night, everything was in place. Legal documents filed, financial assets, protected evidence documented. I'd even had a cognitive evaluation done by Dr. Patricia Hernandez, who provided a notarized statement that I showed no signs of diminished capacity. The GPS showed my trailer parked at a KOA campground outside Yellowstone. The audio caught Tyler asking his mother why she was so quiet. I'm just tired, honey, Sarah responded, but her voice carried the weight of doubt. I prepared the manila envelope that would go in the glove compartment. Inside, I placed copies of Brad's fraudulent loan applications with my forged signatures, highlighted screenshots of his texts planning to sell my house bank records, showing the stolen deposit Jennifer's cease and desist letter, and a notice about the recording devices. The final item was a personal letter in my handwriting. Brad and Sarah, by the time you read this, you'll be in Wyoming with my stolen property. The police have been notified. Your meetings with Judge Harrison were recorded, as were your preparations to defraud me. Madison and Tyler deserve better than parents who would steal from their grandfather. You have two choices: return immediately and face the consequences with some dignity, or continue your trip and meet with Mr. Dalton, who has some papers of his own to deliver. Choose wisely, Connor. I sealed the envelope and set it aside. Tomorrow morning when they stopped for breakfast, I'd use the trailer's app to unlock the glove compartment remotely. The compartment had been locked since I bought the trailer, waiting for exactly this moment. Let them think they'd won. Sun Tzu wrote about appearing weak when you are strong, of winning the battle before it's fought. Brad thought he was dealing with a senile old man. He was about to learn what 43 years in aerospace defense engineering had taught me about strategic planning. Sunday morning dawned gray and overcast, matching the performance I'd planned for Sarah's departure visit. I stayed in my pajamas past noon, left dishes in the sink, and scattered pill bottles on the kitchen counter. When the doorbell rang at 2 o'clock, I was ready. "Dad," Sarah called through the door. "It's me. Can I come in?" I shuffled to the door, taking my time with the locks, fumbling just enough to seem confused. When I opened it, I made sure my hair was messy and my reading glasses were perched crooked on my nose. "Sarah, what day is it?" Her face crumbled with what looked like genuine concern, mixed with guilt. "It's Sunday, Dad. Can I come in? I wanted to check on you before we headed out." I stepped aside, letting her enter. She glanced around the living room, taking in the deliberately placed evidence of confusion: yesterday's newspaper, still folded TV remote in the refrigerator, visible through the kitchen doorway, Martha's photograph turned face down on the mantel. "Oh, Dad," she whispered. "Would you like some coffee? Or is it tea time? I can never remember what Martha prefers." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Either she was an excellent actress, or Brad's manipulation had her genuinely believing I was declining. "Dad, Mom's been gone 2 years. I blinked slowly, letting confusion wash over my features. 2 years? That can't be right. She was just here this morning, said she was going to the store." Sarah guided me to the couch, her hand gentle on my elbow. Outside, I could see Brad's BMW idling in the driveway, exhaust fumes curling in the cold air. Madison was in the passenger seat, looking toward the house. "Dad, I'm worried about you, living here alone, trying to drive that big trailer. What if something happened?" "What trailer?" I asked, proud of the vacant tone I'd perfected. "The Airstream, Dad, the one you bought Thursday." "I bought a trailer. Why would I do that? Martha gets carsick on long drives." Sarah pulled out her phone, showing me pictures from the RV Lots website. "This one, Dad. You spent almost $100,000. I studied the photo like I'd never seen it before. "That's a lot of money. Do I have that much money?" "Not anymore," she said quietly, then caught herself. "I mean, that's why we're concerned. Making big purchases you don't remember." "I can't find my important papers," I said suddenly, watching her reaction. "The ones in the filing cabinet. Someone must have taken them." Sarah's face flushed. "Probably just misplaced, Dad. Listen, I have to go. Brad's taking the kids to Yellowstone for a few days. When we get back, we'll help you get settled somewhere safe." "Will you visit me?" "Of course, Dad, every week." We both knew that was a lie. Sunset Gardens was 45 minutes away, and Sarah barely visited when I lived 10 minutes from her house. She hugged me at the door, and for a moment I felt her trembling. My little girl was still in there somewhere, buried under Brad's manipulation and her own fears. But I couldn't save her from consequences she'd chosen. "Drive safely," I said as she walked to the car. Madison had rolled down her window. "Bye, Grandpa," she called, her voice carrying a note of defiance. Bye, sweetheart. Take care of your mother. As the BMW pulled away, my Airstream gleaming behind it, I counted to 100 before going back inside. Then I showered, dressed in my best suit, and returned to my command center. The GPS showed them heading north on US 191, about 30 minutes from the Yellowstone entrance. I pulled up the trailer's control app on my laptop. The system showed all green lights, power nominal water tanks, full propane adequate. The glove compartment lock glowed red on the schematic. I waited until the GPS showed they'd stopped at a gas station in West Yellowstone. Time for the message. I typed carefully on my phone. Brad, check the glove compartment. Send. The satellite audio picked up the notification chime. I heard rustling, then Brad's annoyed voice. Who's texting me? I'm driving here. It's from Grandpa, Madison said. He says to check the glove compartment. What glove compartment? I don't know the cars. I heard them fumbling around, checking the BMW's storage spaces. My fingers hovered over the laptop keyboard, waiting. They'd figure it out eventually. Maybe he means in the trailer, Tyler suggested. Why would he? Whatever. Madison, go check. It's locked, Madison called back a minute later. That's when I pressed enter, sending the unlock command through the satellite system. The electronic lock disengaged with an audible click. Wait, it just opened. Madison's confused voice carried clearly. There's an envelope. It says open immediately. Bring it here, Brad commanded. I heard paper rustling, then silence. Complete, beautiful silence that stretched for 30 seconds before Brad exploded. Pull over. Sarah's voice deadly quiet. Brad, pull over right now. The GPS showed them stopping at a scenic overlook. The audio picked up car doors, movement-raised voices. This is fake, Brad was saying. He's trying to manipulate us. Forged signatures I never... You told me he was showing signs of dementia. Sarah's voice rose. You said the doctor confirmed it, but there's a cognitive evaluation here dated yesterday saying he's completely fine. Doctors can be bought. Like judges. Like you tried to buy Judge Harrison. Sarah, baby, listen. Don't call me baby. You've been planning this. These bank documents. You already spent money you thought you'd get from selling his house. Madison's voice cut through. I'm recording this just so you know everything you say. Madison, give me your phone. No. I'm your father? Yeah, and you're admitting to stealing from Grandpa. I'm sending this to him right now. I heard scuffling shouting, Tyler yelling at everyone to stop. Then Brad's voice clearer, now panicked. Look, I can explain. The business has been tough, okay? The Aurora project tanked, and I've got investors breathing down my neck. This was supposed to be a simple solution. Connor's old, he doesn't need that big house or this trailer. Simple solution. Sarah's laugh had a hysterical edge. You turned me against my own father? You made me think he was losing his mind? You wanted to believe it, Brad snapped. Don't pretend you weren't thinking about the inheritance, about what that house is worth in this market. I was thinking about his safety. I lost my mother. I didn't want to lose him too, not like that, not piece by piece to dementia. Well, congratulations, you're about to lose him anyway. Happy. The audio caught sobbing now. Sarah, I realized. My daughter breaking down on the side of a highway in Wyoming, finally understanding how thoroughly she'd been played. What do we do? Tyler asked in a small voice. Are we going to jail? Nobody's going to jail, Brad said, but uncertainty had crept into his tone. This is all fixable. We continue to the meeting tomorrow. I get Dalton's investment, pay off the creditors, and make this right with Connor. Did you even read the letter? Madison asked. Mr. Dalton already knows. Grandpa told him everything. More silence, then the sound of paper rustling again. He's bluffing, Brad decided. Has to be. Richard Dalton doesn't know Connor. Look at the last page, Madison said helpfully. The one with the Boeing logo. I smiled, remembering the golf photo Dick had sent me. Him, me, and 3 other Boeing executives at Pebble Beach in 1998. Dick had helpfully circled himself and written, Can't wait to see Brad's face, Dick. The GPS showed them sitting at that overlook for another 20 minutes. The audio caught fragments of heated discussion, accusations, and blame. Finally, car doors slammed, and they were moving again, but slower now, like the trailer was dragging the weight of their guilt behind it. My phone buzzed. A video message from Madison filmed in selfie mode. Her face was tear-streaked but determined. "Grandpa, I'm sorry. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't say anything until it was too late. Dad's been acting weird for months, and Mom's been so stressed about money. I heard them arguing about your house before you even bought the trailer. I should have warned you. I'm recording everything now. Love you." I saved the video, adding it to my evidence folder. Then I texted back, "Love you too, sweetheart. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the most valuable." The GPS tracker showed them pulling into a KOA campground near Yellowstone Lake. They'd have to face each other in the confined space of my trailer, surrounded by the evidence of their betrayal. The satellite audio picked up tense conversations. Brad, making phone calls trying to verify the meeting with Dalton, was still on Sarah, demanding to see financial records. I poured myself a glass of Martha's favorite Malbec and raised it to her photograph, now properly positioned on the mantel. "They're learning, honey," I told her picture. "The hard way, but they're learning. Tomorrow would bring the full reckoning. Tonight, let them stew in the mess they'd created. 30 feet of aluminum trailer feeling more like a prison cell with every passing hour. The glove compartment had done its job. Now it was time for the trap to close completely. Monday morning brought chaos through the satellite feed. I woke at 5, made coffee, and settled in to watch my family implode from 800 miles away. "I can't find it." Brad's voice crackled through the speakers, followed by the sound of drawers slamming. "The GPS unit has to be somewhere." "Maybe because it's hidden genius," Madison muttered. "Like everything else you thought you knew about this trailer." They'd been up all night. Sarah's voice was hoarse from crying and arguing. "Just leave it, Brad. We need to go home." "I can't go home." Brad exploded. "Don't you understand? Dalton's my last shot. If this deal falls through, we lose everything. The house, the cars, your boutique." "My boutique?" Sarah's voice sharpened. "You said my boutique was profitable. I had to move some money around." The audio cut to static as someone slammed something metal. When it cleared, Tyler was speaking. "Mom, I looked up elder abuse online. We could go to jail for 5 years." "We're not going to jail," Brad insisted, though he sounded less certain with each repetition. "Your grandfather is bluffing. Old men don't suddenly become tech-savvy masterminds overnight." "Grandpa designed missile guidance systems," Madison pointed out. "He literally helped build things that can hit targets from space." "That was decades ago." "He taught me Python programming last summer," Tyler added. "Said it was easier than the assembly language he used in the 80s. I smiled at my grandson's defense. The kids had been paying attention during our visits, even when their parents assumed I was just boring them with ancient history. At 8 o'clock, Marcus Stone called with an update. "Brad's juggling 3 phones trying to keep creditors at bay. 2 of his investors are threatening to call in their loans today if he doesn't provide proof of assets. He's been promising them your house as collateral." "Any word from the police?" "Detective Raymond Walsh wants to meet with you this afternoon. He's taking the elder abuse complaint seriously, especially with the evidence Jennifer provided. The attempted false imprisonment charge alone could put Brad away." On the satellite feed, I heard Brad attempting to shower in my compact bathroom, cursing when he hit his elbow on the wall. The man was used to his McMansion with its dual-head rain shower and heated floors. Martha and I had designed this space for efficiency, not luxury. "We need to leave in 20 minutes if we're making that meeting," Brad announced. "I'm not going," Sarah said flatly. "You have to go. We're a team, a family unit. Dalton invests in people, not just projects." "Team." Sarah's laugh was bitter. "You stole from my father and made me an accomplice. That's not a team, that's a conspiracy." "Drama queen," Brad muttered, but loud enough to be heard. "Your father's fine. We'll sort this out after I secure the funding." The GPS showed them leaving the campground at 9:30, heading toward Yellowstone Lodge. I called Dick Dalton. You ready for the performance of a lifetime? I asked. Already here. Dick chuckled. Got a table on the terrace with a view of the parking lot. My lawyer's at the next table pretending to read a newspaper. This is more fun than hostile takeover negotiations. Remember, let him pitch first. I want him fully committed before you drop the hammer. Connor, I've been doing this since before your boy was born. Trust the master. The tracker showed them arriving at noon. The audio feed picked up car doors Brad instructing Sarah on her role in the meeting, the kids being told to wait in the trailer and look presentable in case Mr. Dalton wanted to see the vehicle. This is insane, Madison said once their parents were gone. We're accessories to Grand Theft Auto. It's not theft if it's family, Tyler argued weakly. That's literally not how the law works. Inside the lodge, the audio grew spotty. I caught fragments: Brad's booming false confidence, Sarah's strained pleasantries, Dick playing the interested investor. The meeting stretched past an hour, Brad growing more desperate, as Dick asked increasingly specific questions about assets and collateral. Then, clear as a bell, Dick's voice. You know what I'm sold. Let's celebrate. I'll have my lawyer bring over the paperwork. Your lawyer? Brad sounded confused. For an initial investment agreement. Oh, this isn't about investment, Brad. This is about the Riverside project in Aurora. You remember the one where you took $2.5 million of investor money and delivered empty lots? Silence. I don't know what you're talking about, Brad managed. Sure you do. I'm investor number 7 on your list of creditors. Been looking for you for 2 years. Imagine my surprise when Connor Richardson, whose reputation in aerospace is sterling, calls to tell me you're stealing his trailer and trying to sell his house. The next sounds were chairs scraping, Brad's voice rising in panic, Sarah asking what was happening. Then Dick again, calm as a frozen lake. My lawyer has the lawsuit papers. You can accept service voluntarily or we can do this the loud way. Your choice. This is entrapment! Brad shouted. No, this is consequences. Something you've been avoiding for years. The audio cut to chaos. Multiple voices, what sounded like Brad trying to leave Dick's lawyer, announcing himself, Sarah crying. Then footsteps running, car doors slamming, and Madison's startled voice. Dad, what happened? Dad? Drive, Brad barked. Just drive! Where? Sarah was sobbing. Where are we supposed to go? Home. We're going home. The tracker showed them leaving Yellowstone at dangerous speeds. I called Jennifer Walsh. They're running, I said. Perfect. Judge Morrison signed the emergency protection order an hour ago. The police will be waiting when they arrive. How do you want to handle this? I thought about Sarah, about the daughter I'd raised versus the woman Brad had molded her into. Have them pick up Brad for the theft and fraud. Give Sarah a chance to cooperate. She's as much a victim as a perpetrator. You're more forgiving than most of my clients would be. She's still my daughter. Somewhere under Brad's influence, my little girl still exists. The drive back was 8 hours of hell, according to the audio. Brad and Sarah argued continuously while the kids retreated into silence. Around hour 3, Tyler asked if they could stop for food. Brad snapped that they couldn't afford it, revealing they'd maxed out their credit cards preparing for the Yellowstone trip. You told me we had savings, Sarah accused. We did. I invested it in the Riverside expansion. The failed project, you put our savings into your own failure. Madison's voice cut through. Mom, Grandpa's texting me. He says to tell you he's willing to talk if you cooperate with the police. You're not actually texting him, Brad demanded. I've been updating him since we left. He knows everything. Brad's cursing filled the speaker before Sarah told him to stop. She's trying to help. Someone in this family should maintain a relationship with my father. Your father set us up. No, you set us up. He just refused to be a victim. By hour 5, the reality had fully sunk in. Brad was making desperate phone calls to lawyers, getting voicemail or refusals. His real estate attorney wanted a $50,000 retainer up front. His business lawyer had dropped him months ago for non-payment. Maybe I can talk to my dad, Sarah suggested quietly. Apologize. Make this right. Make it right. You think an apology fixes federal fraud charges? On this one, je talk von spanned for. Federal! Tyler's voice cracked. Interstate transportation of stolen property valued over $5,000, Madison supplied. I looked it up. Plus wire fraud for the forged signatures, elder abuse, attempted false imprisonment. Shut up! Brad screamed. Everyone just shut up! The last 2 hours were driven in silence, broken only by GPS directions and Tyler's sniffling. The tracker showed them approaching Denver as the sun set my trailer rolling back toward home, carrying a very different family than the one that had left Sunday morning. I stood in my driveway wearing pressed khakis and a polo shirt, looking every inch the competent senior I was. Jennifer Walsh stood beside me, along with Detective Raymond Walsh and 2 uniformed officers. Several neighbors had gathered, including Mrs. Chen, with her arms crossed and judgment written across her face. The BMW pulled into view, my Airstream following like a silver shadow. Through the windshield, I could see Brad's face cycle through emotions: surprise, fear, anger, defeat. Sarah looked hollow-aged 10 years in 3 days. They pulled into the driveway and sat frozen for a moment. Then Madison opened her door and ran to me, throwing her arms around my waist. I'm sorry, Grandpa, I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for, sweetheart. You stood up when it mattered. Tyler followed his sister, mumbling his own apologies. I held my grandchildren as their parents finally emerged from the car. Brad looked at the officers, the lawyer, the witnesses. His shoulders slumped. I want to call my attorney. You'll have that opportunity at the station, Detective Walsh said, moving forward with handcuffs. Sarah stood by the car, tears streaming. Daddy, Not now, I said, though not unkindly. Talk to Jennifer first, cooperate fully, then we'll see. As the police led Brad away, he turned back one last time. This didn't have to happen, Connor. We could have worked something out. We could have, I agreed, if you'd asked instead of taking, if you'd been honest instead of manipulative, if you'd treated me with respect instead of seeing me as a mark. The police car pulled away, Brad's face visible through the back window until they turned the corner. Sarah collapsed against the BMW, sobbing. Madison and Tyler looked between their mother and me, torn. Take care of your mom tonight, I told them. But you're welcome here anytime, both of you. Jennifer stepped forward to hand Sarah her business card. Call me in the morning. The sooner you cooperate, the better this goes. As the crowd dispersed and the sun finished setting, I looked at my Airstream back where it belonged. Tomorrow I'd need to clean it, check for damage, and reclaim it as mine. But tonight, it stood as a monument to underestimation, to the assumption that age means weakness, that kindness means stupidity. I went inside and poured another glass of Martha's wine. The engineering precision of the plan had worked perfectly, each component falling into place like tumblers in a lock. But the human cost was higher than any calculation could capture. My phone buzzed. A text from Madison. Grandpa, are you really okay? I typed back, I will be. Take care of yourself tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. Because tomorrow would come as it always did, and with it the chance to rebuild what Brad had tried to destroy. The trailer was just metal and memories. Family, the real family that chose love over greed, respect over exploitation that was worth fighting for. The GPS tracker still glowed on my laptop screen, showing the Airstream parked exactly where it belonged. I shut down the system, finally allowing myself to feel the weight of the past 4 days. Then I raised my glass one more time. To unexpected journeys. I toasted the empty room, thinking of Martha, of dreams deferred but not destroyed, of justice, served cold but served nonetheless. Tuesday morning arrived with the kind of crystalline clarity that only comes after storms. I woke early, not from anxiety but from purpose. My Airstream sat in the driveway, dew beading on its aluminum skin, like tears finally allowed to fall. I was inspecting the trailer's hitch connection when Detective Raymond Walsh arrived, looking less official in daylight. "Morning, Connor. Mind if we talk?" "For the coffee," I offered, gesturing toward the house. "That'd be great." We sat at my kitchen table, the same one where I'd plotted routes to national parks just 5 days ago. Detective Walsh pulled out a tablet, swiping through digital paperwork. "Brad's been charged with theft fraud and elder abuse," he began. "He's looking at serious time, especially with the interstate transportation charge making it federal. And Sarah," Walsh's expression softened slightly. "She's cooperating. Came in at 6 this morning with your lawyer, provided a full statement. She's claiming emotional manipulation and coercion, which the evidence supports. The prosecutor's willing to consider deferred adjudication if she testifies." "What does that mean?" "Probation, basically. Community service restitution, mandatory counseling. No jail time if she complies." I stared into my coffee, seeing my daughter's face at 8 years old, crying over a broken toy rocket we'd built together. "She was a good kid, Detective, before Brad. Manipulators are skilled at finding vulnerabilities," Walsh said. "Your wife's death, financial stress, fear of losing another parent. He played on all of it." "Will the kids need to testify?" "Madison already provided a written statement. Tyler, too. Smart kids documented everything." He paused. "They can stay with Sarah during the proceedings, but there will be CPS monitoring." My phone rang. Jennifer Walsh's name appeared on the screen. "Connor, I'm at the courthouse with Sarah. She wants to speak with you. Are you willing?" I looked at the detective, who nodded. "Put her on." Sarah's voice came through, broken by tears. "Daddy, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "I know. I was scared. After Mom died, you seemed so lost. And Brad kept saying things, showing me articles about elderly people having accidents, about dementia symptoms. I thought I was protecting you." "By stealing from me?" "I didn't know about the stealing, not really. Brad said we were just borrowing the trailer, that you'd forget about it anyway if you were getting confused. He made it sound reasonable, like we were helping." I closed my eyes, hearing the pain in her voice, but also the recognition of her own culpability. "What do you need from me, Sarah?" "I need you to know I love you. That underneath all of this, I never stopped loving you. I just got so lost, Daddy. So lost." "We'll talk more later. Listen to Jennifer. Do what she says." "Daddy, the kids, they need stability. I know I don't deserve to ask." "They're welcome here anytime, always." After hanging up, I sat in silence while Detective Walsh finished his coffee. He stood to leave, then paused at the door. "For what it's worth, Connor, you handled this perfectly. Most elder abuse cases never see justice because families protect the abusers. You protected yourself while still leaving room for redemption. That takes wisdom." Alone again, I walked through my house, seeing it with new eyes. The walls held photographs spanning decades: Sarah's graduation, her wedding to Brad. I studied his smiling face, looking for signs I'd missed the grandchildren as babies. Martha everywhere, her presence still warming spaces she'd never physically occupy again. My phone buzzed. David calling from Seattle. "Dad, I just landed. I'm grabbing a rental car and heading to you. Should be there by noon." "You didn't have to come?" "Yes, I did. Someone needs to help you clean that trailer and plan your real trip. Plus, I want to see my sister get what she deserves." "David, I'm not forgiving her yet, Dad. Maybe not ever. She tried to lock you away, but I'll be civil for the kids' sake." The morning passed in a blur of activity. I cleaned the Airstream methodically, erasing every trace of Brad's presence. His cologne lingered in the bedroom area, so I opened all windows and let Colorado's thin air work its magic. In the storage compartment, I found receipts from their trip-expensive restaurants, tourist attractions, premium gas. All charged to credit cards, probably maxed out now. Under the dinette cushion, I discovered Madison's journal. I shouldn't have read it, but the first line caught me: "Day 1 of Grand Theft Grandpa." Her entries detailed everything Brad's increasing desperation in the weeks before Sarah's growing anxiety conversations about my house value and life insurance. Madison had been documenting like a detective, knowing something was wrong, but not how to stop it. The final entry written Monday night. Grandpa won. Dad's in jail. Mom might go too. I don't know whether to be relieved or terrified. Maybe both. I think Grandma would be proud of Grandpa. I am. I tucked the journal into my desk drawer. I'd return it to Madison privately, let her decide what to do with her record of family collapse. David arrived as promised, looking like the Seattle executive he'd become Tesla, in the driveway, sustainable fabric clothing smartphone perpetually in hand. But when he hugged me, he was just my son, solid and present. "Show me this famous trailer," he said. We walked through the Airstream while I explained its features. David whistled at the solar setup and satellite system. You turned it into a mobile command center. No wonder Brad couldn't figure out how you were tracking them. Your mother would have loved the irony. She always said I over-engineered everything. Mom would have taken a baseball bat to Brad's BMW. We both laughed, knowing it was true. Martha's temper had run hot and quick, unlike my tendency toward cold calculation. "What happens now?" David asked. "Now I take the trip I planned. Maybe a modified version. The kids need stability, so I'll stay close for a while. Day trips, long weekends. Build up to the cross-country adventure." And Sarah. "That's up to her. Redemption's possible, but trust, that's harder to rebuild than any engineering project." That afternoon, Madison and Tyler arrived by Uber. Sarah was still at the courthouse, and they needed somewhere to be. They stood on my porch, uncertainly, backpacks slung over shoulders. "Are we really allowed here?" Tyler asked. "This is your grandfather's house," David said firmly. "You're always allowed here." We spent the afternoon in normalcy. Homework at the kitchen table, sandwiches for lunch, Madison helping me plot a weekend trip to Rocky Mountain National Park. Tyler showed David his coding project, a game he'd been designing. For a few hours, we pretended the world hadn't shifted on its axis. Around 4 o'clock, a car pulled up. Not Sarah's Honda, but a small rental. She emerged looking diminished, her usual put-together appearance replaced by wrinkled clothes and swollen eyes. She stopped at the sidewalk, unsure of her welcome. David tensed beside me, but I put a hand on his arm. "Let me." I met Sarah halfway on the walkway Martha had lined with solar lights. Up close, I could see the toll of the past days, stress lines, trembling hands, the hollow look of someone whose world view had shattered. "The kids?" she asked. "Inside, doing homework." "Thank you. I didn't know where else. Brad's parents won't return my calls. My friends are all his friends, too. I'm poison now." "You're not poison. You're someone who made terrible choices and got caught. There's a difference." She flinched, but nodded. "Jennifer says if I complete all the requirements, this gets expunged in 3 years. Counseling, community service, restitution. I don't want your money, Sarah." "I know, but the court requires it. $50 a month for 5 years. Jennifer says it's about acknowledgement, not amount." We stood there, October wind, picking up leaves around our feet. Finally, Sarah spoke again. "I keep thinking about Mom. What she'd say if she saw what I became. How disappointed." "Your mother believed in redemption," I interrupted. "She'd be disappointed, yes, but she'd also fight for you to become better. That's what parents do. Even when their children try to lock them away. Especially then, because that's when children need parents most." Sarah broke down, then sobbing on the sidewalk where she'd learned to ride a bike 35 years ago. I didn't comfort her, not yet. Some pain needs to be fully felt before healing can begin. When her tears slowed, I handed her tissues from my pocket. Always prepared the engineer in me. "The kids can stay with you," I said. "But I want regular dinners, twice a week minimum, and they join me for weekend trips when possible. Of course, anything." And Sarah. "You need to figure out who you are without Brad, without his influence, his money, his plans. Find my daughter again. She's in there somewhere. I'll try, Daddy. I promise I'll try. We walked back to the house together. David stood on the porch, arms crossed, judgment radiating from every line of his body. But when Madison and Tyler saw their mother, they ran to her, and even David's expression softened at their reunion. That evening we had an awkward family dinner. David barely spoke to Sarah, the kids chattered nervously to fill silence, and I played mediator while serving Martha's famous pot roast recipe. Not the reunion I'd imagined for my retirement, but real life rarely matches our plans. After Sarah left with the kids, David and I sat on the porch watching stars emerge in the clear Colorado sky. I don't know how you can forgive her, he said. I haven't forgiven her, not yet, but I'm willing to let her earn it. And if she doesn't, then at least I gave her the chance. The kids deserve to see their mother try to redeem herself. They need to believe people can change, can overcome their worst moments. David sighed, stretching legs that had inherited Martha's length. When did you get so wise? Sometime between designing missiles and buying that trailer, or maybe when your mother died and I realized holding grudges is a luxury the living can't afford. We sat in comfortable silence until David's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smiled. Amy says to tell you she's proud of you. Also, she's researching RV parks near Seattle for when you visit. Tell your wife she married a good man. She knows, that's why she keeps me around. Later, alone in my house that had felt too empty just days before, I pulled out the maps again. The routes to national parks still beckoned, but now they included new stops. Denver for weekly dinners, Seattle for extended visits, maybe even some destinations chosen by teenage grandchildren. I thought about Brad sitting in federal custody, his empire of lies collapsed. He'd gambled everything on the assumption that age meant weakness, that family bonds gave him carte blanche for exploitation. His loss was absolute freedom, family future. There was satisfaction in justice, but no joy. Destroying someone, even someone who'd tried to destroy you, leaves scars on everyone involved. My phone showed a text from Madison. Grandpa Mom says we can go to Rocky Mountain with you this weekend. Is that still okay? I typed back, more than okay. Pack warm clothes and bring your camera. The elk should be bugling. What's bugling? You'll see. Nature's way of showing off. Not unlike certain real estate developers, but with more dignity. LOL. Love you, Grandpa. Love you too, sweetheart. I locked up the house, checking my new security system out of habit more than fear. The Airstream sat in the driveway, waiting for adventures that would now include teaching moments, family healing, and the complex navigation of forgiveness. Tomorrow, I'd visit the RV dealer about upgrading the sleeping arrangements for teenage guests. Maybe add a better sound system for their music. The trailer that had been weaponized against me would become a bridge back to family, modified for a journey I hadn't planned but was choosing anyway. Martha would approve. She always said the best trips were the ones that surprised you. 6 weeks later, I stood in federal court watching Brad receive his sentence. 3 years in federal prison, 5 years supervised probation, and full restitution for all fraudulent activities. His real estate license was permanently revoked. The judge, a stern woman named Catherine Blackwood, showed no sympathy for his tearful plea for leniency. Mr. Mitchell, she said, peering over her glasses, you systematically targeted an elderly man, manipulated his daughter, and attempted to steal his life savings. The fact that Mr. Richardson was competent enough to stop you doesn't diminish your intent. Society must be protected from predators like you. Brad looked smaller in his orange jumpsuit, his gym-built muscles already softening. He'd aged a decade in 6 weeks, the reality of consequences etching lines on his face. As the bailiffs led him away, he looked back once. Not at Sarah, not at his children, but at me. I saw no remorse in his eyes, only rage at being outsmarted. Outside the courthouse, November wind cut through my coat. Sarah stood with Jennifer Walsh, clutching paperwork that outlined her own legal obligations. She'd been sentenced to 3 years, deferred adjudication monthly check-ins with a probation officer, 200 hours of community service at a senior center mandatory therapy, and those symbolic $50 monthly payments. "It's done," she said quietly. Madison and Tyler waited by the rental car, their faces mixing relief with loss. Their father was gone, their life upended, but the uncertainty was over. "Come on," I said. "Let's go home." The ride back was quiet until Tyler asked, "Grandpa, what happens to Dad's stuff?" "Your mom will figure that out," I said. "Right now, focus on school and being kids. The adult problems are for adults to solve." That afternoon, I helped Sarah move into a 2-bedroom apartment near my house. The McMansion was being foreclosed. The BMW repossessed the country club memberships canceled. She'd salvaged what mattered: photo albums, the kids' belongings, some furniture. The rest would be auctioned to pay Brad's debts. "It's smaller than our old garage," Tyler observed, looking around the modest space. "It's honest," Sarah replied. "That matters more than size." Madison had already claimed a corner for her desk, setting up her laptop and journal. She'd started a blog about family financial abuse, turning her documentation into advocacy. Her writing was sharp, honest, unflinching in examining her own family's collapse. Over the following months, a routine developed. Sarah worked 2 jobs, mornings at a coffee shop, evenings, doing bookkeeping for small businesses. The boutique Brad had drained was long gone, but she was rebuilding. Twice a week, the family came for dinner. Slowly, awkwardly, we relearned how to be together. David visited monthly from Seattle, his anger gradually thawing as he watched Sarah struggle and grow. Thanksgiving was particularly poignant, a small gathering in my kitchen instead of Brad's grand dining room, but genuine in ways those performative holidays had never been. "I'm grateful for honesty," Madison said when we went around the table. "Even when it hurts." "I'm grateful Grandpa's smarter than Dad," Tyler added, drawing nervous laughter. Sarah struggled with her gratitude, finally managing. "I'm grateful for second chances I don't deserve. I'm grateful for family that endures." I finished raising my glass of cider. The Airstream became our healing ground. Weekend trips to Colorado's hidden gems, teaching the kids camping skills, showing them the stars without city light pollution. Sarah joined when her probation allowed, learning to back the trailer into spots to manage the gray water, to appreciate simplicity. One snowy December evening, we sat around the trailer's dinette playing cards. Madison had made hot chocolate on the compact stove. Tyler was beating us all at poker, with skills that concerned me, and Sarah was laughing at something genuinely funny, rather than forcing social pleasantness. "Dad," she said during a quiet moment, "I've been seeing the therapist, really working, not just checking boxes." "Good. She says I have codependency issues, that I gave Brad control because I was afraid of being alone after Mom died, afraid of making decisions without someone telling me what to think. And now I'm learning to trust my own judgment, to recognize manipulation, to set boundaries." She paused. "I'm also learning about elder abuse, how common it is, how many families exploit their aging parents. I never thought I'd be one of those people." "But you recognize it now. That's growth. Is it enough? Ask me in a year." Spring arrived with possibilities. I finally took the longer trip to Utah's Mighty 5, accompanied by both grandchildren for their spring break. Sarah saw us off with a mix of pride and envy waving from her apartment parking lot. We made it to Arches National Park as sunrise painted the red rocks gold. Madison set up her camera for a time lapse, while Tyler and I cooked breakfast outside. The coffee tasted better in thin desert air, the bacon crispier when seasoned with adventure. Grandpa, Tyler said, flipping pancakes with newfound confidence. "I'm glad Dad's in prison. Is that wrong?" "It's honest. Sometimes the people who should protect us become the ones we need protection from. It's okay to feel relief when that danger is removed." "Mom's different now, better, I think." "Change is hard. Your mom's doing the work." Madison joined us her artistic eye-framing shots I would have missed. "I'm documenting this for my college applications," she announced, overcoming family adversity through intergenerational bonding and adventure. That's a mouthful. College admissions eat that stuff up. Plus, it's true. We spent 5 days exploring Utah's wonders, the trailer, our base camp for adventures. Delicate Arch at sunset, the Narrows at Zion, Bryce Canyon's hoodoos like frozen flames. Each night we'd return to the Airstream, tired and dusty and happy. On our last night camped near Capitol Reef, Madison asked the question I'd been expecting. "Grandpa, do you think people can really change? Like, fundamentally?" "I think people can choose to change. It's not passive, not something that happens to you. It's daily decisions, small choices that add up. Your mom's making those choices. Your dad, he's still blaming everyone else. He writes us from prison, says you set him up, that we betrayed him." "I know, your mom showed me the letters. She doesn't make us read them anymore. Says we can choose when we're older if we want a relationship with him." "That's wisdom." "I already chose," Tyler said quietly. "He's my biological father, but he's not my dad. Not anymore." "That's your choice to make," I said. "Both of you. Family isn't just blood. It's trust, respect, love. It's who shows up when times are hard." We returned to Denver sunburned and story-rich. Sarah met us at my house, nervous about our dynamic after a week away. But the kids hugged her immediately, chattering about petroglyphs and slot canyons and the best camping spots. "Thank you," she whispered to me while they unloaded. "For giving them this. For giving me time to work on myself without losing them completely. They're good kids. They deserve good memories to balance the bad ones." Summer brought more adventures. David's family joined us for a trip to Yellowstone, reclaiming the park from its association with Brad's failed scheme. We saw Old Faithful erupt on schedule, watched grizzlies fish for salmon soaked in hot springs that smelled like the Earth's basement. Amy, David's wife, pulled me aside one evening. "David's coming around about Sarah, seeing her work struggle grow. He might not say it, but he's proud of her recovery. She's earning it. And you, how are you healing from all this?" I thought about it watching my grandchildren chase fireflies in the fading light. I'm learning that retirement isn't about escape. It's about choosing how to spend your remaining time. I choose this family adventure's second chances. Sarah completed her community service at Golden Years Senior Center, where she developed a workshop on recognizing financial exploitation. Her supervisor wrote a glowing letter to the court about her dedication. She'd turned her shame into service, helping other families avoid her mistakes. The therapy was harder. Sarah would emerge from sessions, raw eyes swollen from crying through buried trauma. Not just Brad's manipulation, but older wounds, Martha's death childhood anxieties, the pressure to be perfect that made her vulnerable to someone who promised easy answers. "I put Mom on such a pedestal," she told me one evening. "When she died, I couldn't imagine being strong like her. So when Brad came along, so confident, so certain about everything, I just let him take over. It was easier than grieving properly." "Your mother wasn't perfect," I reminded her. "She had anxieties too, doubts, but she faced them. That's what made her strong. I'm trying to face mine now. Better late than never." "Much better." Fall arrived with news that Brad had been transferred to a minimum security facility. His lawyer had negotiated it based on good behavior and his lack of violent history. The kids received the information with shrugs. He'd become abstract to them, a cautionary tale, rather than a present father. Madison's college applications went out essays polished about family resilience and finding strength through crisis. Tyler joined the robotics club, his coding skills flourishing. Sarah started dating cautiously a fellow single parent from her therapy group who understood complicated pasts. "I need you to meet him before it goes anywhere," she told me. "I don't trust my own judgment yet." I met Robert over coffee, a soft-spoken accountant whose ex-wife had gambling addiction. He seemed genuine, treated Sarah with respect, understood boundaries. Most importantly, he didn't try to rush things or promise easy solutions. He seems decent, I told Sarah afterward. That's what scares me. What if I'm wrong again? Then you'll handle it. You're not the same person who married Brad. Trust the growth. The first anniversary of the trailer theft arrived with an email from Brad. He'd sent it through his lawyer, circumventing the no-contact order. It was a rambling manifesto about his innocence, how I'd destroyed his life, how his children would regret abandoning him. I forwarded it to the prosecutor and filed it with the other evidence of his continued lack of remorse. That weekend, I took the Airstream to Rocky Mountain National Park, the trip I'd originally planned. Madison and Tyler joined me, along with Sarah. We camped at Timber Creek, waking to elk bugling in the meadow. This is what you were going to do that day, Sarah said, watching sunrise paint the peaks. Before we ruined it. Plans change, sometimes for the better. How is this better? Your daughter's a convicted elder abuser, your son-in-law's in federal prison, your grandchildren are essentially fatherless. My daughter is healing, I corrected. My grandchildren are learning resilience, and I'm not in a retirement home having my assets drained while my family pretends I'm senile. I'd call that better. We hiked to Sky Pond that day, 9 miles round trip that tested my 69-year-old knees but filled my spirit. Tyler helped me over rough spots while Madison documented everything. Sarah pushed herself determined to reach the alpine lake, despite her lack of conditioning. At the pond, surrounded by peaks and wildflowers, we sat in silence. The water reflected clouds and sky, a perfect mirror of the world above. Grandma would have loved this, Madison said finally. She did love it. We came here for our anniversary in 1985. She said it looked like heaven's entrance. Do you miss her? Tyler asked. Every day. But missing her doesn't mean stopping living. She'd haunt me if I wasted the time we saved for. On the hike down, Sarah fell into step beside me. Dad, I need to say something. Not for the court or the probation officer, but for me. Okay. I'm sorry. Deeply, truly sorry. Not just for what I did, but for who I became. For losing sight of what mattered. For betraying the values you and Mom taught me. I'm sorry for trying to steal your freedom, your dignity, your dreams. There's no excuse, only explanation, and even that feels hollow. Apologies are words, Sarah. I'm watching your actions. I know. I'll keep acting, keep proving, for as long as it takes. Good. We made it back to camp as afternoon thunderstorms rolled in. Huddled in the trailer while rain drummed on aluminum, we played cards and told stories. I shared tales of Martha, of raising Sarah and David, of dreams deferred, but not forgotten. The kids talked about their futures, Madison's plan to study journalism and justice, Tyler's interest in ethical technology. That night, after everyone was asleep, I stepped outside. The storm had passed, leaving crystal air and brilliant stars. The Milky Way arced overhead, that river of light Martha and I had dreamed of following in our silver ship. I thought about justice, how it wasn't just punishment, but possibility. Brad was serving his sentence, but more importantly, his victims were free. Free from manipulation, from false narratives, from the slow poison of emotional abuse. Sarah was discovering who she could be without his influence. The kids were learning that love doesn't excuse harm, that family requires trust earned through actions. And me, I was living the dream, modified but not diminished. Every mile traveled in that Airstream was a victory over those who'd tried to steal it. Every shared meal, every mountain climbed, every moment of honest connection was proof that family could survive its worst impulses and emerge stronger. 6 months later, Madison graduated high school as salutatorian. Her speech referenced difficult lessons learned through family crisis, the importance of protecting vulnerable elders, and the power of redemption. Sarah cried through the entire ceremony, proud tears for a daughter who'd found her voice by documenting its attempted silencing. Tyler's robotics team made it to state championships. I sat in the stands wearing his team's t-shirt, cheering, as his code guided their robot through obstacles. He'd learned to solve problems systematically, to debug failures without blame, to work within a team that trusted each other. Brad wrote occasionally, his letters growing more desperate as his release date approached, with no family waiting. The kids had legally changed their last name to Richardson, honoring their grandparents over their father. Sarah kept his name only for legal continuity until the divorce finalized. "He'll have nothing when he gets out," she said one evening, a note of pity creeping in. "He'll have what he built, nothing, while you've built a new life on honest foundations. Sometimes I feel guilty for moving on while he's locked up." That's his manipulation still echoing. He made his choices. You're making yours. Don't confuse consequences with cruelty. Summer arrived with college preparations for Madison. We took one last major trip before she left Alaska in the Airstream, ferrying through the Inside Passage, camping under the midnight sun. It was Martha's ultimate dream destination, and I scattered some of her ashes in Denali's shadow, while my granddaughter filmed the moment for a documentary about healing. "She's with us," Madison said softly, camera steady despite her tears. "In every mile we travel, every mountain we climb, every honest conversation we have. Grandma's legacy isn't just in the places she dreamed of seeing, but in the family strong enough to see them." The night before Madison left for college, we held a farewell dinner in my backyard. David's family had flown in. Sarah and Robert were officially together. Tyler was excited about sophomore year. We strung lights between trees, grilled burgers, told embarrassing stories about Madison's childhood. As darkness fell, I stood to make a toast. 2 years ago, someone tried to steal my dreams and my dignity. They failed because family isn't about taking. It's about giving. It's about lifting each other up, not tearing down. It's about trust earned through trials. I looked at each face around the table. We've been through hell together. We've seen the worst of what family can do to each other. But we've also seen the best: forgiveness, growth, redemption. Madison, as you head to college, remember that your story isn't defined by your father's crimes, but by your courage in standing against them. Tyler, your strength isn't measured in code, but in character. Sarah, your worth isn't in perfection, but in perseverance. And David, your wisdom shows in learning to forgive when forgiveness seemed impossible. To Martha, I raised my glass, who saved for adventures she didn't live to take, but somehow managed to guide us through them anyway. To justice that teaches rather than just punishes. To second chances seized with both hands. To family messy and imperfect, but ultimately unbreakable. To family, they echoed glasses clinking under stars that seemed to shine approval. Later, as guests departed and dishes were cleaned, I found myself alone with the Airstream. I ran my hand along its riveted surface, thinking of all the miles it had traveled. Not just highways and mountain passes, but emotional distances that couldn't be measured in odometer readings. Inside, I'd hung a new photo, all of us at Denali, windblown, and smiling Madison's camera on timer to capture the moment. Next to it, the original photo of Martha and me planning this journey 40 years ago. Dreams deferred, dreams modified, but dreams ultimately fulfilled in ways we couldn't have imagined. I thought about Brad's glove compartment discovery, how that manila envelope had changed everything. Such a small space to hold such large consequences. But then the most powerful transformations often come from the smallest revelations, that age doesn't mean weakness, that family isn't license for exploitation, that justice delayed isn't justice denied. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Madison would start college carrying stories of survival and strength. Tyler would continue growing guided by ethics born from watching others' ethical failures. Sarah would keep building her independent life each day, a choice to be better than before. And I would keep traveling, sometimes alone, sometimes with family, always with Martha's spirit riding shotgun. The Airstream would roll on, carrying not just people, but possibilities. Every mile a reminder that the journey matters more than the destination, that the best revenge isn't revenge at all, but living well, fully, honestly. That sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is showing their true colors, freeing you to choose better companions for the road ahead. I locked the trailer and headed inside, already planning next week's trip. The maps still called, the parks still waited, the dreams still beckoned. But now they included rest stops for family dinners, detours for grandchildren's events, modifications for passengers I'd never expected, but wouldn't trade for any solo journey. Martha was right as usual. The best trips were the ones that surprised you. Even when they began with betrayal, even when they required fighting for your freedom, even when justice came at the cost of family fractures. Because sometimes things need to break before they can heal stronger. And we were healing mile by mile, day by day, choice by choice. Not perfect, not complete, but moving forward together. The silver bullet of dreams pointing toward horizons that promised more than any retirement home could offer possibility growth, and the wild hope of roads not yet traveled. In the distance, a coyote howled, that primal sound of survival against odds. I smiled, understanding the kinship. We were all survivors here, all fighters in our way. And tomorrow we'd continue the journey together and apart, but always connected by the miles we'd shared and the trials we'd overcome. The glove compartment that had held evidence of betrayal now held registration papers in my name alone, insurance documents properly filed, and a small photo Madison had taken me standing beside the Airstream silver hair matching silver aluminum. Both of us, weathered but unbroken, ready for whatever roads awaited. Thank you for joining me on this journey of betrayal, justice, and ultimately redemption. If you've ever faced family members who tried to take advantage of your kindness or questioned your capabilities, know that you're not alone. Standing up for yourself isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. And sometimes the family that emerges from crisis is stronger than the one that entered it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who crossed the line? How did you find the strength to protect yourself while still leaving room for redemption? If this story resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more stories about resilience, justice, and the complex dynamics of family relationships. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing that, it's never too late to stand up for yourself. Please share this story with them. Remember, age is not weakness. Kindness is not permission for exploitation, and the best revenge is living your dreams despite those who tried to steal them. Stay strong, trust your instincts, and never let anyone convince you that your dreams are too big for your years. Until next time, keep traveling your own road wherever it may lead.